Legend of the Star Dragon.
Yeah, book 25 of the Dragon Master series. And they keep going, right, Apollo? Mm-hmm. She writes them faster than we can read them. But we're going to give it a shot, catching up.
We have book 26.
Yeah. I think we even have 27.
Yeah.
I think? Is it?
No.
No, just 26. Well, we'll find out. We've got this one and the next one, and there's more on the way. So, let's find out what happens in book 25, chapter 1, The Star Flute. Show us the Star Flute, Drake, Bo urged. Drake held out the shiny silver flute. Bo and Jean, dragon masters just like Drake, leaned in to get a closer look. Behind them, Griffith the wizard nodded thoughtfully. That is a very magical object indeed. The magic coming off it is giving me goosebumps, Griffith said, stroking his beard. You and Dharma did a wonderful job retrieving it, Drake. The Dragon Masters had been very busy trying to save the world from a dangerous shadow. The sky shadow blocked all sunlight. Crops were starting to die. People were cold and scared. A dragon master named Aruna had fed an evil Balaam seed to her shadow dragon. She had stopped her wizard from eating the seed, and she thought it would not affect her dragon. But the seed cursed Chaya, giving the dragon evil powers. Chaya began absorbing magic being used by wizards around the world. This made Chaya's own powers stronger. It also gave him new powers, like the ability to create the sky shadow. And because Aruna and Chaya shared a connection, the seed's powers changed her too. The Dragon Masters had learned that a star dragon could stop the shadow dragon. So Drake and Dharma went in search of the light dragon that could lead them to a star dragon. Dragon Master Rune and his light dragon, Lisa, had helped Drake and Dharma find the Star Flute. With it, they could finally summon a star dragon. Dragon Masters Rory and Anna had been busy too. They had warned wizards to stop using magic. Now Chaya was no longer gaining power, but the Dragon Masters still needed the help of a star dragon to get rid of the sky shadow and to cure Chaya from the seed's evil magic. Now, home in Bracken Castle, Drake was eager to hear what Bo and Jean had learned while he was away. Did you find out how the Star Flute works? Drake asked. No, but we have learned something very important, Jean said. Star dragons are born in Helas before they go live in the sky. Petra is from Helas? Drake said. Petra was a dragon master too. Bo nodded. We sent Petra a message asking that she meet you at the library there. Petra and her parents should be able to help you learn more about the star dragons and how to use the flute to summon one, Jean added. You and Worm must leave right away. Drake, Griffith said. Chaya's sky shadow is already covering the whole world. Chapter 2, The Great Library. Chaya is one of the most powerful beings in the world right now, Griffith explained. We must stop this dragon before he uses his new strength to do more harm. Drake gently patted his earth dragon, Worm. We haven't slept in a while. Is it okay if we go on our next mission now? The green dragon stone around Drake's neck glowed as he heard Worm's voice in his head. Yes, Drake. We must find strength. We are running out of time to stop Chaya. Drake touched Worm's neck, then transport us to the library in Helas. Drake's friend waved as Drake and Worm transported in a flash of green light. Drake blinked. Here, as in Bracken, the dark gray sky shadow blocked the morning sun, but a huge ancient building made of white marble cut through the gloom. Tall columns supported the library's 2 stories. Wide steps led to the great library of Helas. A girl with curly blonde hair ran to greet them. Drake, Worm, she cried. A green 4-headed dragon followed her. Petra! Drake gave her a big hug. Worm approached Zara, the poison dragon, and lowered his head in greeting. Zara smiled at him with all 4 of her heads. Thanks for meeting us here, Petra, Drake said. Bo and Jean told me that there is a way to stop this terrible shadow, Petra said. I am happy to help. Come on in. My parents and I have found something. Drake followed Petra into the library. He gasped. The building was massive. Bookshelves as tall as trees filled the space, every inch holding a book or scroll. Drake spotted a gray kitten playing with a ball of yarn under one of the shelves. Is that your cat, the one you named Zara after? He asked. Petra grinned. Yes, luckily both Zaras became good friends. A woman with hair like Petra's and a tall, thin man approached them. Mom and Dad, this is Drake, Petra said. It is nice to meet you, Drake, said the man. I am Zale. And I am Daria, said Petra's mom. I wish we could give you a tour of the library, but Bo and Jean wrote us about your mission of great importance. You seek information about star dragons? Yes, Drake said. Daria nodded. We have just the book. Enzo is fetching it now. She pointed up to the top of a nearby shelf. A boy not much younger than Drake and Petra stood at the top of the ladder. Enzo grabbed a book, and then he scrambled down. Here you go, the boy said, handing the book to Drake. He had dark blonde hair and hazel eyes. Thank you, Drake said. I think I would be nervous to climb all the way up that ladder. Enzo is an expert climber and a great reader, too, Petra said. He is a big help here at the library. Enzo grinned. Thanks, Petra. I really love being around all of the books. Petra took Drake's hand. Let's see what we can find out. Chapter 3. A Starry Tale. Drake and Petra sat down to look at the book together. The title read, Legend of the Star Dragons. Petra opened the book, which was filled with beautiful pictures. She read aloud the tale of the Star Dragon. Every 300 years, one of the star dragons flies down from the sky. She lays an egg at the Star Temple on the highest peak of Mount Sky in Hellas. When the egg hatches, the baby dragon flies into the cosmos to join its parents. A baby star dragon was usually never seen again, except as a twinkling star in the night sky. Then, long ago, a baby star dragon named Nova fell to Earth, after bumping into an asteroid. Nova was injured, and a girl named Stella helped her heal. When Nova got better, she flew back to the stars. But Stella missed her dragon friend, so she asked Harmonia, the goddess of music, for help. The goddess created the Star Flute. First, Harmonia played a song to summon Nova back down to the temple. Then she gave Stella a dragon stone, and Stella became Nova's dragon master. Harmonia played a second song that allowed Stella to stay with Nova in the stars forever. When Stella and Nova flew into the stars, Harmonia hid the flute in a faraway land, Petra read. But if the flute is found, it may be used to summon Stella and Nova to the temple. They can visit for only a short time and cannot leave the mountaintop. Petra turned the page and pointed. This is the tune to play on the flute. It is very beautiful. The Song of the Star Dragon. You can read music notes? Drake asked. I never learned how to do that. Petra nodded. I learned so that I can play the flute when Zara sings. Then you should be the one to summon the Star Dragon, Drake said. Me? Petra asked, wide-eyed. Yes, Drake replied. There's only one problem. The Star Dragon won't be able to leave Mount Sky. He took a deep breath. We will have to lure the Shadow Dragon to the temple. Chapter 4. Help from Darpon. You want to bring the Shadow Dragon here to heal us? Petra asked with a shiver. Yes. This Star Dragon is our only hope of stopping the Shadow Dragon from doing more harm, Drake replied. We have to bring the two dragons together somehow. Drake handed Petra the Star Flute. Keep this safe. Worm and I need to go to Sindhu, while Shia and his Dragon Master Aruna live. Aruna's brother Darpan may be able to help us bring the shadow dragon to Mount Sky. We will meet you there." Petra nodded. "I will fly there on Zara. Good luck, Drake." Drake said goodbye and left the library. Then he touched Worm, and they quickly transported to Sindhu. Worm had brought them to a house at the end of the road, with a moon carved into the front door. Drake knocked. A boy with dark brown hair and glasses opened the door. He looked around worriedly. "Drake, Worm!" Darpan cried. "Why did you come back? If my sister learns you are here, you will be in danger." "Thank you for helping Jean and me to escape before," Drake said, stepping inside. "I was worried that Chaya might have hurt you after we left." "Even under the powers of that cursed seed, Aruna knows that I am her brother," Darpan replied. "She will not let her dragon hurt me. But I cannot say the same for you and Worm. Now tell me, why are you here?" Drake explained that they had found a way to summon the Star Dragon, but only to Mount Sky. "I need your help. Can you get Aruna and Chaya to heal us?" Drake asked. "Maybe you could tell your sister that wizards are meeting on Mount Sky to try to stop Chaya." Darpan nodded. "That could work. Chaya might get angry and fly there to stop them." "Exactly," Drake said. "It should take some time for Chaya to fly there in the meantime, Petra and I will summon the Star Dragon." "I do not like lying to Aruna, but I will do it," Darpan said. "Just promise me that my sister and Chaya will not get hurt." "We will do everything we can to protect them," Drake promised. "We will save Aruna and Chaya from the Balaam seed." Drake joined Worm outside. "Let's get to Mount Sky," he said. As he closed his eyes, he made a silent wish. "I hope this plan works." Chapter 5. Guardian of the Temple. Moments later, Drake and Worm arrived at Mount Sky. They landed on a flat area just below the highest peak of the mountain. Drake felt a strange crackling of energy in the air. "It must be because we're so close to the sky shadow. We're really high up," he thought. Petra and Zara stepped out of the gloom. Petra had brought the Star Flute and the book about star dragons. "How did it go in Sindhu?" Petra asked. "Good. Aruna's brother will help us. I just hope the plan works. If it does, the shadow dragon should arrive soon," Drake said. "We need to head to the temple now and summon the Star Dragon." Petra motioned behind her. "This path will lead us there. But the book says a dangerous creature called a griffin guards the temple." Drake's dragonstone glowed green. He heard Worm's voice in his head. "Petra is right. A dangerous creature awaits us." "We'll have to get past that creature," Drake said. "The temple is the only place we can summon the Star Dragon." Petra took a deep breath. "The book tells of one way to deal with the griffin," she said. "Zara and I will have to do it." "Worm and I will follow your lead, then," Drake said. Petra and Zara started up the path. Drake and Worm followed. The four of them soon reached the top of the mountain. Ahead stood a white marble temple. Star-shaped symbols were carved across the beam on top of the columns. "Something is coming," Worm warned Drake. A creature stepped onto the path, blocking their way. The beast had the body of a lion and the head and the wings of an eagle. "Begone from here," the griffin screeched. "We're on an important mission," Petra said. "Please let us pass." "Begone," the griffin screeched again, "or face my wrath, the wrath of the guardian of the Star Temple. Beware of my claws." Petra's dragonstone glowed. Petra leaned in to Zara and whispered, "Sing the griffin's lullaby." The poisoned dragon's four heads began to sing. Chapter 6. A Surprise in the Shadows. Zara sang a calming, peaceful tune. The guardian yawned and its eyes began to droop. It struggled to stay awake. "Begone!" the griffin began. He trailed off. Petra put a finger to her lips, and Zara stopped singing. Then she motioned for Drake and Worm to follow her. They tiptoed past the sleeping beast and continued toward the marble temple. That was incredible, Drake said, looking over his shoulder. Petra patted the book. I read more while you were in Sindhu. That song will keep the griffin asleep for a day and a night. We are lucky to have a singing dragon with us, Drake said. He looked up at the sky shadow. We should summon the star dragon now. We will need time to explain everything to Stella and Nova before Aruna and Chaya get here. Petra handed the book to Drake. Can you please hold this open for me while I play the notes? Drake opened it to the song of the star dragon. Petra raised the star flute to her lips and began to play. Oops, said Petra. My hands are shaking a little, and I played a wrong note. Let me start over. Suddenly, a dark, swirling portal appeared overhead in the sky shadow. Drake looked up hopefully. Is the song working? Before Petra has even finished. A dragon flew out of the portal, a dragon with gray feathered wings, long white tusks, and glowing red eyes. His dragon master had gray hair, and her eyes glowed red, too. Doom, doom, doom. Drake gasped. Chaya and Aruna! They got here faster than I thought they could. Petra stopped playing the flute and stared at the shadow dragon. Then Drake noticed something. Darpan was hanging from Chaya's tail. Chaya landed on top of the marble temple. Darpan jumped down and ran over to Drake. I'm sorry, Darpan said. I didn't know that Chaya could create portals to travel through the sky shadow. There was no way to warn you that we'd arrive so soon. Worm and Zara faced Chaya, ready to spring into action. Aruna glared at her brother. Darpan, she snapped. Why are Drake and these dragons here? Where are the wizards you told us about? Darpan stammered. Drake stepped forward. Darpan just wants to help you, he said. We can summon a star dragon to this temple. If you could just listen. Chaya flew down to the temple steps and roared. Roar! The powerful, angry roar knocked Drake, Petra, and Darpan off their feet. The star flute fell out of Petra's hands. Drake grabbed the flute as it rolled off the edge of the peak. Aruna climbed off Chaya's back. She glared at Drake, Petra, and Darpan. Chaya, destroy the star temple now, she commanded. Chapter 7. Breaking Through. Drake thought quickly. If Chaya destroys the temple, we might never be able to summon the star dragon. Worm, stop Chaya, Drake yelled. Zara, use your stun poison, Petra cried. Worm's body glowed green. Zara's body did too. Worm shot a beam of light at Chaya, and the shadow dragon ducked. Then Zara's forehead sprayed shimmering yellow droplets all over Chaya. The shadow dragon froze in place. Wow, Drake cried. Petra, what did Zara just do? We have been experimenting with different poisons Zara can create, Petra replied. This one makes anything it touches stop moving, but it only lasts for a little while. Aruna stomped toward them. Fools, you don't realize how very powerful Chaya is. Your dragon's weak powers will not hold him for long. Darpan ran to his sister. Aruna, please, he pleaded. Listen to these dragon masters. They know a way to help you both. We do not need help, Aruna snapped. She raised her arms toward the sky. Can't you see how beautiful this shadow is? Chaya and I are so powerful. We can do anything we want. The Aruna I know wants to help everyone, Darpan told her. Stop the sky shadow and you will help the world. Aruna's eyes flickered. She paused. I will never destroy Chaya's sky shadow. Darpan turned to Drake and Petra, shaking his head. It is of no use. I cannot get through to her. An idea popped into Drake's mind. His dragonstone glowed. Worm, can you use your powers to help Darpan get through to his sister? I think so, Worm replied. It is the Balaam seed inside Chaya that is making Aruna evil too. With Chaya frozen, there is a chance I can use my powers to break their connection for a few moments. Then Aruna will lose her connection to the seed. Drake nodded. Darpan, talk to Aruna. Worm will help you get through to her. Soft green light shone from Worm's eyes onto Aruna. Darpan looked at his sister. Please, Aruna, what good is Chaya's power if plants will die and the people will starve? I know you don't want that. As Darpan spoke, his sister's eyes flickered again. I don't know, she stammered. Aruna, listen to me, Darpan pleaded. None of this is your fault. You are not evil. Neither is Chaya. This all started when you fed Chaya that Balaam seed. We know you meant well, and we can help you fix things, if you'll let us. Aruna shook her head. But Chaya knows how much you love him, just as I love you, Darpan said. Let us help you both. The red glow faded from Aruna's eyes. Her gray hair returned to a glistening black color. Worm stopped, shining his green light on her. Aruna blinked, then threw her arms around Darpan. Brother, she cried, I am so sorry. I never... Rawr! Chaya roared and stomped. Zara's poison has worn off, Petra shouted. Chapter 8. A Lost Connection. Aruna's dragonstone glowed as she stepped toward the angry shadow dragon. Chaya, calm down, she said in a slow, careful voice. You must not attack Darpan or our new friends. They are here to help us. I made a mistake when I fed you the Balaam seed. We must make things right. Rawr! Chaya, his eyes still red from the cursed seed inside him, roared again. Wisps of gray shadow flowed from Chaya's nose like a rope. The shadowy tendril wrapped around the chain of Aruna's dragonstone. Then the shadow yanked the stone from her neck. No! Aruna cried. The shadow tendril curled back up toward Chaya. The dragon flew up and then dropped the dragonstone off the mountain peak. Oh no! Now, Aruna can no longer communicate with Chaya, Drake realized. The shadow dragon roared again, and his whole body began to shine with gray light. Bum, bum, bum. Dozens of creatures flew down from the sky shadow, creatures made of shadow with glowing eyes and long arms. Shadow phantoms! Drake yelled, warning the others. Don't let them touch you! Worm, try to slow them down! Worm's eyes shone green and glowing green. Bubbles appeared all around him. The bubbles floated through the air, absorbing any shadow phantoms they came in contact with. Great! New bubble power, Worm! Drake cheered. Then Petra yelled, Zara, stun Chaya again, and get those phantoms next! Zara blasted Chaya with a powerful mist of yellow poison. The shadow dragon froze in place. But the shadow phantoms kept zooming down from the sky. Zara's 4 heads shot green poison blasts at 4 shadow phantoms. When the poison hit, the phantoms dissolved. Drake, hand me the flute, Petra yelled. We need to summon the star dragon now. Drake ran toward Petra, holding out the silver flute. Whoosh! One of the shadow phantoms grabbed it from Drake. Aruna pulled the flute away from the shadow phantom. She tossed it to Petra, who caught it and brought it to her lips. Drake tossed Darpan the Legend of the Star Dragon's book next. Petra needs the music, he cried. Darpan opened the book to the page of music notes. Then Petra began to play the Song of the Star Dragon once more. La, 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 la. Chapter 9. The Summoning. Drake, Aruna, Worm, and Zara fought off the shadow phantoms as Petra played the Star Flute. The enchanted airy tune echoed across the mountain. Worm created more green bubbles to absorb the shadow phantoms. Zara flew overhead. She hit the phantoms with green poison mist to dissolve them. Aruna threw rocks at them, and Drake, with both hands now free, took his silver sword from his belt. A shadow phantom floated toward him. "Hi-yah!" he yelled, thrusting the sword into the shadow phantom. As soon as the sword hit the phantom, it vanished. Yes, Drake cheered, but then he heard a cry overhead. Zara was tumbling out of the sky. Petra stopped playing the flute. Zara, she cried. Worm, stop Zara's fall. I'll protect you, Drake yelled. Petra, keep playing. Drake ran to Worm and began slashing at any shadows, phantoms that came near. Worm's eyes glowed green, and green energy surrounded Zara as Worm used his mind powers to gently lower her to the ground. Drake immediately saw that what was wrong. One of Zara's wings was turned into a shadow. Drake had seen this before, when a shadow phantom had touched Jean and Sindhu. If Shu, the water dragon, hadn't saved her, her whole body would have turned into a shadow. But Shu was not here. A shadow phantom touching Zara's wing. Drake explained to the others, we can't help her on our own, but hopefully the Star Dragon can help her. I hope the Star Dragon can save us all, thought Drake. Petra finished the song and ran to Zara's side. Suddenly a circle of glittering light broke through the sky shadow. Startled, the shadow phantom scattered, disappearing back into the gloom. A dragon swooped down from the sky. Nova! Drake cheered. Chapter 10. Stella and Nova. Everyone stared at the beautiful sight as the star dragon hovered above Mount Sky. Dark blue scales rippled down Nova's long curved body, and each scale shimmered with starlight. We are lucky, Worm, told Drake. This is a dragon very few have ever seen. A girl with long, pale blue hair rode on Nova's back. Purple eyes sparkled in her round, friendly face. A white dragonstone shone around her neck. Hello, Stella, said, in a light, musical voice. It has been a long time since Nova and I have been summoned. Does this have something to do with the strange shadow that covers the sky? Aruna stepped forward. Yes, Stella. I fed my shadow dragon Chaya a Balaam seed. I hoped I could save my wizard Vanad from turning evil. You did save your wizard, Aruna, Drake interrupted. Yes, what you did was very brave, Sister, Dupont added. Aruna frowned. I thought I could save the world, but I made a mistake in the process. Chaya became evil, and now the world is in danger. Stella's eyes turned to the shadow dragon, still frozen on top of the marble temple. I understand, Stella said. Nova's light is indeed powerful enough to cast the Balaam seed out of your dragon. But why is Chaya not moving? Is he under some kind of spell? My dragon Zara froze Chaya with poison, a stun attack, Petra replied. But the poison will wear off soon, and now Zara is hurt. Stella nodded. I know what to do. She closed her eyes, and her white dragonstone glowed brightly. Please do not hurt Chaya, Aruna pleaded. This is not his fault. Nova's powers will not harm him, Stella promised. Ready, Nova? The star dragon nodded, her graceful neck, and then flew toward Chaya. Chapter 11. The Sky Battle. Bum, bum, bum. As the star dragon approached Chaya, the shadow dragon's eyes blinked. Nova, star beams, Stella commanded. Beams of light, white starlight shone from Nova's eyes, aimed at Chaya, but the poison wore off. The shadow dragon roared and flew off the temple, escaping Nova's beams. Petra frowned worriedly. I wish Zara and I could help them. Worm, can we help? Drake asked. Let us watch and see, Worm replied. Nova is very powerful, and Stella knows what to do. The star dragon and shadow dragon flew up toward the gloom of the sky shadow. Nova, stardust, Stella cried. Nova sang a loud high note, and a cloud of glittering dust appeared. The dust swirled around Chaya. Chaya roared, and a shadow cloud streamed from his mouth. It absorbed all the glitter. Nova, starbeams again, yelled Stella. 2 more beams of starlight shone from Nova's eyes. Just before they could zap Chaya, the shadow dragon disappeared into a portal in the sky shadow. Then Chaya reappeared behind Nova. Aruna watched the battle, biting her lower lip. I wish I could communicate with Chaya. I need my dragon stone. Darpan ran to where Chaya had tossed his sister's dragon stone. He carefully lay it down to peer over the edge of the mountainside. Aruna, I see it. Your stone is on the ledge down below. I can reach it. Worm, can you get it Worm can get it for you, Drake offered. But at that moment, 2 shadow phantoms zipped toward Aruna. Worm, stop them, Drake commanded. Worm trapped the shadow phantoms in the green bubbles. Overhead, Stella made another command. Nova, Star Whip! Nova's long curved tail whipped in the sky, creating a rope of starlight. The light wrapped around Chaya's body. He shrieked and tried to cast it off. Nova, power up! Stella commanded. While Chaya struggled to shake free of Nova's bonds of light, Nova closed her eyes. The thousands of tiny stars on her scales began to glow brighter and brighter. Roar! Chaya burst through his bindings with an explosion of glowing gray shadow beams. Worm glanced over, wanting to help, but 3 shadow phantoms zipped toward Zera, and Worm shot bubbles around them. The shadow dragons flapped his wings. Watch out, Stella! Chaya's going to send you and Nova into the shadow world, Aruna cried. Aruna turned to Drake and Darpan. I can't let that happen. She ran to the edge of the mountain and jumped down. Chapter 12. Super Shine. Drake and Darpan ran to the edge and looked down. They found Aruna standing on a narrow ledge, holding her dragonstone. She knotted the broken end of the chain and put it around her neck. Help me pull her up, Darpan said. He reached for Aruna, and she grasped his hand. Drake steadied Darpan as he pulled his sister to safety. In the sky, Chaya advanced on Stella and Nova with its wings opened wide, but the star dragon wasn't moving out of the way. As soon as Chaya wraps his wings around Stella and Nova, they'll be sent to the shadow world, Drake cried. I'll connect with him, Aruna said, closing her eyes. Then she opened them, frowning. It's not working. Maybe I need to get closer to him. Worm can move you up there with his powers, Drake offered. Aruna nodded. Quickly, please. Drake turned to Worm. Send Aruna up to Chaya. Worm's eyes glowed green. Aruna floated up into the air. Stella moved Nova away from Chaya. She called out. Nova's scales shone more brightly. I cannot, Stella said. Nova is charging up for her strongest power, Super Shine. She cannot move or use another power once that starts. Aruna's dragonstone glowed. Chaya, stop this right now, she commanded. Chaya's eyes flashed red. Yes, you must listen to me, Aruna told him. We have a connection that even the Balaam seed cannot break. Chaya's wings drooped a little. Chaya, retreat, Aruna yelled. I am your dragon master. Chaya flew back to the top of the marble temple. Thank you, Chaya, Aruna said. You did the right thing. Worm lowered Aruna to the ground. Chaya will not stop you, Aruna called up to Stella. But the power of the seed inside him is strong. Please help him before it is too late, and before the seed affects me again too. Nova was glowing brightly now, so brightly that everyone had to shield their eyes. We are ready, Stella said. Nova, perform Super Shine! Chapter 13. Clear Skies. A dazzling burst of white light exploded from every inch of Nova's body. The light hit Chaya. It lifted the dragon up toward the sky shadow. The shadow dragon's whole body gleamed with white light. His mouth was open, and a tiny seed floated out. The seed floated higher into the sky above Chaya and Nova, and as it floated, the seed turned into a bright, glowing ball of energy. Then, ba-boom! The seed exploded, sending waves of sparkling white light stretching across the sky. The bright white light extended farther and farther out, continuing to spread all around the world. Every bit of the sky shadow that it touched dissolved. "Zara is healed!" Petra cried, hugging her dragon's neck. Zara's wing was solid once again. The supershine must have done it. Drake gazed up at the sky. "Look!" he cried. "With the shadow gone, you can see the stars!" Chaya floated back down to the ground and lay still, his eyes closed. "Chaya!" Aruna ran to him. The shine faded from Nova's body, and she landed in front of the temple. "The sky shadow is no more," Stella announced, "and the shadow world has been destroyed as well." "Will Chaya be all right?" Aruna asked tearfully. Stella nodded. "He will recover. All he needs is time," she replied. "But others around the world might still need help." Stella opened her left hand. A small glittering white stone magically appeared on her palm. She held it out toward Aruna. "This is a star stone," she said. "It can be used to help anyone who was harmed by Chaya's shadow powers." Aruna took it from her. "Thank you," she said. "I will make sure to help everyone who needs it. I will aid you, sister," Darpan nodded. "And now, Nova and I must return to the stars," Stella said. "Thank you, Stella," Drake said. "We will never forget you." Stella smiled. "You're all part of my legend now. Goodbye, my friends." The Dragon Masters waved as Nova flew up into the night sky. Nova flew higher and higher. First she looked like a moving streak of white light. Then the light stopped moving. It became a very bright star. Drake pointed. "Those stars around Nova make the shape of a dragon. And Nova is one of the eyes," he cried. Chapter 14. Wizard Worries. In Hellas, we call those stars the Draco constellation, Petra explained to Drake. "Aruna and Darpan, I wonder if that is where all the star dragons live." Aruna stroked Chaya's neck. The dragon's eyes fluttered open. He lifted his head. "Chaya, you're back!" Aruna cried, hugging him. "Oh, I am so sorry that this is all my fault. You turned evil only because I didn't want Vanad to eat the..." "Vanad!" Drake remembered. "The last time we saw your wizard, he had turned into a shadow and was stuck in the shadow world." Darpan frowned. "Nova destroyed the shadow world. I hope Vanad was not destroyed too. Brother, we must return to Sindhu at once and try to find him," Aruna said. Worm can take you there," Drake offered. "We'd like to help." Aruna turned to Petra. "Before we go, I must thank you and your dragon. I do not even know your names." Petra grinned. "I'm Petra, and my dragon is Zara," she said. "We are happy to help. That's what dragon masters do." Petra gave the Star Flute to Drake and climbed onto Zara's back. "Goodbye, Drake. You know where to find me if you need me." "Thanks, Petra. I'll miss you," Drake said. Then Zara flew back to the great library. "Aruna and Darpan touch Worm. Then Aruna touch Chaya," Drake explained. "Once we're all connected, Worm can transport us." Aruna and Darpan obeyed. "Worm, take us to Sindhu!" Drake cried. Chapter 15. The Star Stone. Worm brought Drake, Aruna, Darpan, and Chaya outside Vanad's house. It was night time in Sindhu. Stars glittered in the night sky. The sleeping residents had no idea yet that the sky shadow was gone for good. There was a moon carved into Vanad's front door, which was partly open. Lantern light shone through the windows, and they could all hear a voice muttering inside. "Let's see. Shadows." There must be something useful in one of these scrolls. Worm and Chaya waited outside, while Drake, Aruna, and Darpan rushed in. "Vanad!" Aruna asked loudly. "Aruna?" A shadowy figure floated toward them. "Aruna, my dear girl, you are your old self," the wizard cried. "And Darpan, good to see you, my boy. And other boy, I know you somehow." "I'm Drake," Drake said. "We met in the shadow world. I'm so glad we found you." Vanad nodded. Yes, that's right. Strange thing about that shadow world. One moment I was in it, and the next I wasn't. But I am still a shadow, so I'm hoping to find answers in my books." Aruna quickly told him everything that had happened, and held out the Starstone. Stella said this would help anyone who was harmed by Shaya's shadow powers. But as she spoke, the Starstone began to glow in her hand. A light shone on Vanad. When it hit him, he transformed from a shadow back into a solid human. "Oh my," he said, touching his arms and legs to make sure it was true. "How wonderful! I'm back! Suddenly, they heard voices outside. "The sky shadow is gone! I see stars!" Everyone hurried outside. People were now streaming out of their homes and looking up at the sky. First they stared, then they cheered. Some even began to dance. "Well, I'm glad everything is back to normal," Drake said. "Now, Worm and I should return the Star Flute." "Nonsense, my boy, that can wait," Bernard said. "We must celebrate." Chapter 16. A Friend in Need. Drake and Worm celebrated with their new friends under the night sky. They listened to music and ate delicious food that was spicier than Drake had ever eaten before. Then Drake lay down next to Worm. He slept deeply for the first time since the sky shadow had appeared. Worm's tail curled around him, and the earth dragon snored softly along with Drake. When Drake woke up, Aruna and Darpan were sitting on a blanket next to him. They offered Drake and Worm fruit from a big bowl and rounds of warm flatbread. They ate until their bellies were full. "Thank you," Drake said, stretching. He looked up at the sun shining in the blue sky. "Isn't that a beautiful sight? I'll be grateful for every sunrise from now on," Aruna replied. Drake stood up. "Worm and I need to return the Star Flute to its secret location, and our friends back home will be missing us." "I understand," Aruna said. She patted her pocket. "Darpan, Chaya, and I will be busy looking for people who need the Starstone's help. If you find anyone who has hurt by Chaya's shadow powers, please let me know." "I will. Now that the wizards can use their magic again, our wizard can send messages to Vanad," Drake said. "Goodbye. I hope we will meet again." "I hope so too," Darpan said. "Be well, Drake." Drake touched Worm's neck. "Let's return the flute, Worm." Seconds later, they landed in front of the shimmering crystal lake. A white dragon and a boy with red hair were outside, staring at the blue sky. Drake waved at Lisa, the light dragon, and Rune, her dragon master. Rune was deaf, and Drake didn't know enough sign language yet to communicate with him. The boys used their dragons for that. "Hello," Drake heard Worm's voice in his head. "Rune says, 'You did it, Drake, and I'm glad you came back right away with the flute. Your friend Anna flew here yesterday with a message. I have some news for you. Your wizard Griffith is missing." Dun dun dun! Griffith is missing, Apollo? Oh no! Will they save him in book 26?
Possibly.
I think we'll have to find out. But until then, we tell our audience what?
Adios!
Adios!